Does it feel like I was with you 2 days ago?
No, it feels like you were here a month ago. But you were here 2 days ago, and we didn't record at all like we said we were going to.
I'm so upset about.
Yeah, but listen, when your team is making a run in the national championship, you kind of have to throw everything. You
To
plan
the
your
side.
right, like you
Yep.
wake up, you think about Penn State, then you
Right.
go to the Penn State
100%.
game, then when the Penn State game's over, you think about the next Penn State game,
Correct. Correct.
and that's I guess the beauty of them losing is now we don't have to think about them anymore. But you know what I
True.
can't stop thinking about?
Wait.
No, it's oh what is it? It's take my breath
Oh
away. Maybe I might have to make an intro song for this. That
I
is
listen to since the 4-hour car ride home until today. I think I listened to it like 30 times,
might
and
be
I just play it like the first like minute of he says that. It's so funny.
might be one of the best like choices ever made for like a promotional sports thing.
Yeah.
It's just never gonna leave my head. Take my bracket away. All right,
The
yeah.
best part is the pause. Like it's not like one full sentence. Like you pause,
It's a
and
build up.
then yeah.
And you could insert anything in
Uh,
there. We've been doing that all week. I'm sure we'll do
yep.
that. Here, take my Jimmy away. Okay. Um, we are back. It is March 23rd. And we got a lot to
Correct.
talk about. It's a Win City podcast. If you want to skip around to different chapters, it's on the timeline below you. You could click and choose. We're gonna clip out some stuff. The Madden stuff's going up. Blah blah blah. You get it. Subscribe. Have some respect. Hit the subscribe button. Okay, it's free. It's free. And then a day later, you could unsubscribe. I'm kind of banking on the fact that you're forgetting that you even subscribed and you just let it go and the number goes up. Whatever. Um, Listen, I didn't want this to be a Raider podcast, but they seem to be hammering away with news. Um, First of all, I would be remiss to say I don't know if you saw this, but Foster Moreau, their backup tight end, he was visiting the Saints and he took a physical and they found that he had cancer. So he's stepping away from the game. We wish you nothing but the best. We're all rooting for you. Go Foster, beat it. I'm sure the only positive to this is that they caught it early, so he could take the time he needs, and then I'm sure he'll be back and better than ever. So we talked about that real fast. I'm a Raider fan. I love Derek Carr. Now Jimmy Garoppolo's our quarterback, and I haven't given my take on it. But I'm not going to yet. I'm going to give you the floor. Jimmy Garoppolo to the Raiders.
You're so nice for giving me the floor first.
Cheers.
I think once they knew Carr was leaving,
When do you think that was? Like week 4?
yeah, kinda. And they couldn't get Rodgers. This was the next best thing for them. So I think they did a pretty good job this offseason. And I think they should still draft a quarterback because even though he's a winning quarterback, one, he can't stay healthy, and two, you still have to build a franchise behind him and build a quarterback up. He could teach them, mentor them, and I think that's what the Raiders still need. But it's a really good fit for Jimmy. I think he's going to do really well in Vegas.
Yeah, a lot of things come to mind initially. Have I talked a lot of shit on Jimmy Garoppolo in my life? Yes, I have. Okay, and this is a cautionary tale of why you don't do that, just because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. He has won a lot of football games, and people will say, "Well, have you seen the roster around him compared to the Raiders roster?" And then to that, I would say, "You got a good point. We don't exactly have their defense." He does not stay healthy. He's only played, I think, one full entire season in the San Francisco 49ers uniform. And
was that the year they went to the Super Bowl?
That's correct. And I love mentioning the fact that he only threw like 12 passes in the NFC Championship game.
Nice.
So, listen, the question needs to be asked just right off the rip. Is Jimmy Garoppolo a better quarterback than Derek Carr? Is it a lateral move? Is it an upgrade? Here's what I'll say to that.
Okay.
You can't just ask that question straight up, like, is he better than Carr? Because the answer is no. What you have to ask is he more valuable to the team right now, making 40% less money than Derek Carr? Like, can you get the same output with Jimmy saving money that you were going to pay Carr to use getting other people? You know what I mean? So basically where I see it is I think, like I said, you can't just say who's better, Jimmy Garoppolo or Derek Carr. I think they were smart to get rid of Derek Carr before they owed him all this money. It was unfortunate that they couldn't trade him. He probably was being difficult about that, even though he says, "Oh, you could have traded me." No, I don't believe you for a single second, but that's fine. I wouldn't have done this. I would have done the same thing he did. With that being said, Jimmy Garoppolo is making significantly less money than Derek Carr, and he is a worse quarterback, yes, but he's not that much. He's not. The gap of skill level is not the gap of money. You see what I'm saying? Like,
yep, I know exactly what you're saying.
He's making like Jacoby Brissett money, but he's a better player than Jacoby Brissett.
Correct.
Jimmy Garoppolo. So
Correct.
I don't hate it. They've used the money, kind of. They've got now some decent defensive depth. They signed Jacoby Myers to fill the Darren Waller void, and we'll get into that in a second. And we'll see what they do in the draft. Now, you said I think they should draft a quarterback, and I agree. But the more I watch what they're doing in free agency, getting a Jacoby Myers and sort of going all in, now they have two tight ends. They have Austin Hooper and O.J. Howard. They still have Hunter Renfrow. They tagged Josh Jacobs. Their offense is looking good. A part of me thinks this is going to be another year of let's see if this quarterback can do it. With the 7th pick, we're going to take the best defensive player available and keep taking defensive pieces every single pick, stack the defense. If we win 9, 10, 11 games and get into the playoffs, then maybe we can ride this thing out because Jimmy did sign a 3-year deal. If we suck next year, then we go draft a quarterback. I don't love that because I don't know if we're going to be bad enough to have a top,
10 pick.
Right. I mean, Caleb Williams is going to be the first pick. Then you have like Drake May, who's going to be like 3 or 4. I don't know if we're going to be high enough to get one of those quarterbacks. And they didn't want to. They talked to the Panthers. Again, we'll talk about the Panthers soon too, about trading up, but then they never did it. Maybe they still trade up to the Cardinals pick because the Cardinals don't need a quarterback. And they're drafting, I think, 4 or 3. So I think right now they're just going to run with Jimmy and not take a quarterback, which again I don't love, but I don't know.
I feel like the Raiders are like scared to like rebuild. Like they're just like, let's win year in, year out. They're like afraid to just like start young, start fresh. I don't know why, but I just year in, year out, I feel like it's the same thing, like you said. Like get a quarterback, mentor him, coach him, and then in 3 years from now, when Jimmy's done or it's not working out, your quarterback, he's 25. You build around him.
Right. And
why?
And Jimmy is proven to be the type of person that is willing to teach the young kid. I mean, he just did it with Trey Lance. There were no reports of like issues or problems.
Right, exactly.
Like it's not exactly Aaron Rodgers where they drafted Jordan Love and people were like, oh, look out, like he's gonna be pissed. And ultimately he was, and he kind of handled that like a normal person.
Yeah.
But Jimmy. I think if you start rebuilding, then it's hard to justify the Devontae trade, and he starts to get upset, and then you got to trade him.
Exactly.
Like they wouldn't have tagged Jacobs if they were going to rebuild. It's just things like that.
But in my personal opinion, does Jimmy G need an offense or a defense?
Well, I think he needs both, if I'm being honest with you. I think we have the offense.
When you talk about offense, I think you talk about an offensive line and the backfield. The receivers don't mean as much as the line and the backfield because if he's throwing 15, 20 passes a game, your receivers aren't going to do much. But then you hand the ball off to Jacobs 25 times a game, there's your whole offense there. So what matters more, the defense or the offense? I think you lean towards the defense a little bit more, and I think they were like, we need offense this offseason. But maybe, like you said, in the draft, they do defense. But Obviously, you need offense, defense to win a Super Bowl, but Jimmy G succeeds when he has a better defense than an offense.
Right. I mean, that's no denying that. He's had a great offense, but the defense has been unreal. And they've covered for his flaws, which is sometimes he could airmail the ball and it's picked off. The Raiders' defense is not good. It's just not good. They have some good players, but that doesn't make a good defense. Their offensive line was pretty decent last year. It outplayed its expectation, I think. People were like, it's going to be a disaster, and it was just kind of middle of the road. They have a great left tackle, and Josh Jacobs last year was one of the best running backs in the league. So I'm not worried about the run game, and I'm not worried about the offense. I think Josh McDaniels knows how to get people open. But the defense is going to be a problem. And, again, that's where I go back to the 7th overall pick. If you have someone like a Jalen Carter, who I know there's problems going on with whatever's going on with that. But if he ends up being okay, and he falls to 7, and you could have Max Crosby, Chandler Jones, Jalen Carter on your line. Then you start to make me think: should they take Will Levis or should they take that kid? I don't know. But then it's like, is the defense a player away? Probably not. So then you'd have to hit on the 2nd pick. It's a lot. Is Jalen Ramsey? Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
What'd you say?
I was just thinking about Jalen Ramsey. He's on the Dolphins, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think he got signed. Traded. Whatever. It is tricky for the Raiders because they are in a weird position, but I feel like depending on who you draft is going to determine what the future is for the Raiders.
And
if you drafted,
go ahead. No, you go.
If you draft defensive player, you're just like all in, win between now and the next 2-3 years. If you draft a quarterback, you're like, let's see where this thing goes. If we do well, ride the wave, ride it. If not, we could always fall back on our franchise quarterback.
Right, and ultimately what it comes down to is you have to, for God's sakes, pick a decent player with this first pick, no matter who it is.
Yeah.
Because they do not have a history recently.
No way.
Of drafting good players in the first round. I mean, you can go back to...
It's a killer for them.
The Khalil Mack trade probably set them back years, and it's hilarious because I think if you look back on who won that trade, it's not us and it's not the Bears because he's on the Chargers right now. So people have listed the players. I'm not going to get into that. We know who they are. The only good first-round picks they've drafted since 2018 was Colton Miller. That was a Gruden pick. Josh Jacobs. That was a Gruden pick. And that's basically it. This regime hasn't had a chance to take anyone with the first or second pick because of the Devontae trade. Now we're going to see the kind of philosophy they have. Are they going to take someone like Gruden and Mayock, who when they draft him, the experts on NFL Network are like, didn't see that coming. Okay, we'll see how that goes. Or are they going to take someone that goes, yeah, he should have been the 7th pick in the draft? Only time will tell. It's coming up soon. It's coming up in about a month. I'm nervous. If they trade up, I think that means it's a quarterback.
Like you said, though, the key point is no matter who you draft, it has to be a good pick. It has to be. If not, then you're up, down, and nowhere to be found.
Because Jimmy, no offense to Jimmy, needs all the help he can get. I mean, every quarterback does, but him in particular, when he is in a really good situation, you could win a lot of football games. But I don't know if you can call the Raiders roster a really good situation. I think the nicest thing you could call it is interesting. And people say, "Oh, that's interesting," when they don't really like it, but they want to, that's interesting. True. It was an interesting movie. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's where I am on that. I like seeing all the videos of him walking around the facility. It like tricks you into thinking that he's like Joe Montana, and you're like, wow, we got a guy here, but it's just not.
Hey.
So we'll see what happens. Darren Waller is no longer a Raider. You know what? It's sort of getting on my nerves. My players ending up on your football teams is because this guy roots for the Saints and the Giants. First of all, that's a psychotic tendency to have two teams.
No, it's not.
It's whatever. Especially in the same conference, but okay. Derek Carr goes to the Saints. We talked about that. And then Darren Waller. I'm sitting, where am I? I'm doing a project. And my phone's just like this. Just fireworks going off. And I'm like, what is happening? So I leave the project and I get Dale, our buddy Dale, sends me a clip. And it's the clip from Madagascar. And it's that guy going, all hail the New York Giants. And I'm like, what? That's the only thing I saw. And then I go to Bleacher Report and I see Darren Waller in a Giants jersey. Go ahead.
Well, I want to ask you, first of all, I live in New York, so I root for the Giants. And second of all, Drew Brees is my favorite player of all time.
Go ahead.
Next, do you think it was a good trade for them to lose Waller since they got two, I would say, average tight ends in return, which you could use in an offense, you could use, like, they could use it really well. And Waller played, 6 games last year?
Yeah.
So who knows where that him could injured 6 games again this year. Is that if you want him to play 6 games again, or you want him off the team?
Right. I think this is an example of the Raider fans, and every fan base is like this, but Raider fans are just extremely passionate because they want to win. I get it. I'm a Raider fan myself. I think this was an example of they saw the trade and they were like, oh my God, McDaniels. This guy. What?
Yeah.
What are you? What? I can't believe. Guys, Darren Waller is on the wrong side of 30. He's missed at least 10 games in the last 2 seasons.
At least. Probably more.
If they could have gotten higher than the 3rd round pick, guess what?
They
would have.
Yeah.
It's not like they were like, we got this 2nd from the Dolphins, but we got this 3rd from the Giants. He looks better in blue. Darren, where do you want to go? Oh, okay, we'll send you to New York. That's not how this works. They said, hey, National Football League, Darren Waller's available.
Show me your best offer.
And the best offer that they got. Now, if Kansas City said, we'll give you 1, it doesn't matter. You can't give them to Kansas City under any circumstances, but that didn't happen. So they took the best deal, and like you said, it's essentially Darren Waller for a 3rd round pick and O.J. Howard and Austin Hooper. Can those two equate to any sort of level of production?
Which I think they can.
Right. And another thing to consider is that Josh McDaniels loves his 2 tight end sets. But with those 2 tight end sets, you need 2 tight ends that can block. And Foster Moreau last year is a good blocking tight end and a good pass catching tight end. Darren Waller is not a good blocking tight end. That's fine. Neither is Travis Kelce. Isn't the best blocker in the world, but nobody can guard him. It's not a knock. Yeah. It just is what it is. So he was like, I need 2 big, strong guys. O.J. Howard is 6'6", and Austin Hooper's he's just a mauler. I need 2 guys that can block for me when I need to, and then when we do play action, they can go out and run routes. So those are the type of tight ends he needs in the offense.
I agree, and basically to what you just said, who's a better fit for Jimmy G, Darren Waller or those 2?
Right.
Who do you think? If you're smart and you know football, it's Austin Hooper and O.J. Howard.
Without question. I mean, even with Carr, Carr and Waller have had such a good rapport over these last few years. And then when Waller was playing this year, it was hard to get him the ball just because it didn't work in his offense. So I think it was a good move. Again, is his play when completely healthy worth more than a 3rd? Yes, obviously. He's one of the top 100 players in the league. But that's the best offer you can get when, like I said, he's on the wrong side of 30 and he gets hurt all the time. A 3rd round pick could end up being a starter this year if you pick the right player. Or you could take that pick and trade up for people. So, listen, I think it's a win for the Raiders. I also think it's a win for the Giants. You get another weapon for Daniel Dimes, your boy, your franchise quarterback, who got 100 and whatever million. Good luck with that. And if you just got a bunch of people, like if Saquon and Darren Waller play all 16 games, I think the Giants are a lock playoff team again.
Agreed.
I would be excited if I were you. I mean, he's a great guy.
Like, I'm super excited, but look at those 2 players you just named.
Right.
Saquon, first full season for the last 3 seasons. Now Waller, the last 2 seasons, barely been playing. So are they top 100 guys when they're healthy? Yes. But you have to be playing to be a top 100 player. And if they're not playing, gone. Season's over. But if they do play, we're back in the playoffs. hopefully Daniel Jones can have more than 12 touchdown passes
Hopefully.
and show everyone why he's worth, what was it, $35 million a year?
Something crazy like that. I mean, in all seriousness, this is why you go get Darren Waller, so he could further prove. Like this year, he's like, I won't turn the football over, I promise. So we're like, okay, and then he didn't. He didn't really fumble. He didn't throw any passes. Now it's like, okay, Daniel, can you like throw some touchdown passes and then not turn the ball over? Yeah, so we'll see. It should be an interesting little offense they got there. They still need like a good receiver. They don't have yet, but I guess maybe that's.
Can we talk about really quick?
Sure.
The new, I don't know, like average income for a quarterback per year is now compared to like literally 3 years ago. Like Mahomes got, what was that? I think 3 years ago already, $40 million a year. Everyone's like, oh my god, biggest contract ever. Like this is crazy. Daniel Jones, $35 million a year. Derek Carr, $37 million a year. Are they worth that much compared to? If they're getting that much, Patrick Mahomes should be getting $60 million a year. 2 Super Bowl MVPs, and he's getting basically the same amount of those two.
I mean, yeah, that's. If Derek Carr was on the Raiders this year, he would have been making the same amount of money as.
Crazy.
And it's like
my mind.
It's the age old thing that people say. It's like Tom Brady was always like 11th in quarterback rankings in terms of making money. And sometimes you need to sacrifice a little for the betterment of the team, which is why like the Eagles now, Jalen Hurts is going to make so much money that they're like, Darius Slay, you got to go, and I forget who the linebacker is.
But everyone said that about Mahomes, and they just won.
Well, that's because he's just so much better than everybody else. I think, yeah, it's insane. Yeah, Daniel Jones is making $5 less million a year.
And in 5 years from now, or not even, I would say 3, someone's going to be making more than Mahomes. It's just every year it just gets higher and higher. I don't know why.
At one point, Derek Carr was the highest paid quarterback in the league in 2016 until Matt Ryan signed his new contract, and I think it was $28 million a year.
Something like that.
It's just crazy, which is why you get Jimmy G at like 20-something. It's like, yeah, I'm cool with that.
You like steal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nature of the business. People start to, the NFL's a machine. It makes all the money in the world. And they put it back into their players, and they keep getting better and better. It's crazy. We didn't touch on, like, the Lamar thing. Speaking of contracts, I mean, people have talked about this ad nauseum. The person to blame for all of this is whoever decided to give Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed deal. Because
You're
now,
frozen.
Because you were just talking. I'm frozen. Hello.
Hold. Pause. Move.
Hello.
Talk.
Hello. Can you hear me?
You're like laggy.
I am. I'm not lagging on my
now
end.
Again. Good. Now you're good.
I'm good.
You were before.
Okay.
Yeah.
You brought up contracts, which makes me think of Lamar Jackson, and people have talked about this all the time ad nauseum. So we won't take too long on this, but the person to blame for this Deshaun Watson situation is whoever decided to give Deshaun Watson. Or did I say? Wait, the person to blame for the Lamar Jackson situation is whoever decided to give Deshaun Watson a fully guaranteed deal. Because, like you were saying with the quarterback norms, it's like Jalen Hurts is like, I better be making more than Daniel Jones. It's like, yeah. Well, Lamar's like, well, I better get a fully guaranteed deal like Deshaun Watson. And we're like, oh, yeah, but that was kind of crazy that they did that. It's not like the new norm, Lamar. Like, we'll give you like 140 guaranteed. Like, you don't play all the time. And Lamar's like negotiating himself. He doesn't have an agent. It's chaos.
But do you blame them? Do you blame them in the sense of like, look how much he made. I know I'm better. I proved I'm better. Why should I get paid the same or less than what he's getting paid?
I don't blame anyone in that situation. I just think it's wholly unique in every side of that argument is valid. Lamar's right. The Ravens are right. I don't know where the compromise is. I think ultimately what it comes down to is Lamar ends up compromising because
if he doesn't compromise, he's not playing.
Yeah, he's going to be on a different team, and there's running out of teams who need quarterbacks.
Well, I feel like teams either came out or signed a quarterback, right? Like majority of them, besides like Falcons and Colts.
Right, and they're probably. I mean, I don't know what the Falcons are doing. The Colts are going to draft one. The Panthers are going to draft one. We'll get to that in a second. I just don't see how this resolves itself. I don't think the Ravens budge on giving him a fully guaranteed deal. I don't think you can do that if you're running a business. I think Lamar. I think somebody's going to say to Lamar, listen, Lamar, you're going to get a $200 million deal. If it's not fully guaranteed, you're going to get $140 million guaranteed into your bank account immediately. Like that. Like, what are we talking about here? And again, I don't think that's the right decision.
I think the best compromise would be, I know he wants a max deal, but you're not getting that. So what's the next best thing? Lower the years. So, like, instead of 4 or 5 years, 200 mil, do like 3 years, 120 mil, all guaranteed. Then you take it from there. You win a Super Bowl, wins MVP after that in the next 2-3 years. Then you're like, he's worth it. If not, peace out.
It's just crazy though, because you're telling a former MVP in the prime of his career that he has to sign a bet on yourself contract.
But they're like, you didn't play. We made the playoffs, almost won a game without you. Do we need you? I'm not sure.
And but it's funny because like they know like they do need him. Everyone knows the other person is thinking what they're thinking.
I agree, but if you're not going to agree, if you want him to play for your franchise and he wants all that money, you're not giving the money, then that's the only solution. Lower the years, lower the money, fully guaranteed. It's not 200 million guaranteed, and then he has a couple years to quote unquote prove himself, even though he has. But the Ravens don't think he did enough for that money, so that's the next best thing, unless he's walking, and they don't want that.
I do not feel bad for anyone involved. Lamar, I hope you get your money ultimately. Deshaun Watson ruined everything. And the best part about that is he stinks. So that was a mistake by Cleveland.
Do you think he cares that he stinks?
Wah.
Exactly.
The Panthers traded for the first pick in the draft, which means they're going to take Bryce Young, right?
I don't think so.
Me neither. I think they're going to take C.J. Stroud.
I think that's the best fit.
Yeah, I do as well. I think reports came out immediately after saying you don't trade up for the first pick unless you know your guy. And I believe the reports that Stroud's going number 1 overall, which means Bryce Young goes 2 to the Texans. Which then means, again, not to bring this back down to the Raiders, but then either Will Levis or AR goes to the Colts, and then you have to hope and pray to God if you're going to take a quarterback that the Seahawks or the Lions don't take a chance. So that's all I have to say about that.
The Lions might, Seahawks, they just signed Gino. They probably won't.
Right. But you never know. You never know. It might just be like a scout like, guys, this is our chance to change our organization. We could make the playoffs with Jared Goff. We could then flip him for a 2 because he just resurrected his career, and then AR comes in and lights Detroit on
lights
fire
it up
in a good way.
What was that score of the Lions game? Did they get blown out? I don't remember.
The last game they played?
The Lions in the playoffs.
They didn't make the playoffs.
Oh wait, so are you sure?
They had a chance. The
last game of the season, they lost.
No, they had a chance to get in, but they needed a Seahawks loss or something like that, and the Seahawks
But they won.
So
the
Packers were playing a win and get in game. The Lions were playing for nothing in Lambeau, and they still beat them. Just a gutty win for the Detroit Lions.
Of course, I would do the same thing.
I'm a huge Lions guy. I love them. Dan Campbell.
Campbell, yeah.
Amon-Ra, the sun god in Detroit, lighting up Detroit.
Love it.
Yeah, so, and then there's this little thing. This is public information. I'm not breaking any news here. I'm just saying. Actually, no, I can't say that. I can't. I was just about to. I can't say that.
You can't say that.
Do you know where I was going with that?
Yep, you can't say that.
Can't say that.
All right.
I got sources. That's all I'm saying, and I'm going to keep my mouth shut. Yeah. You thought, what were you umming? Were you about to bring something up?
Take my sources away.
You know what we could talk about real fast, just because I feel like talking about it? March Madness. It's the best thing ever, right? It's just the best.
It's the most electrifying thing in sports.
It's the best thing.
Let's get it.
FDU.
Like when you see that, when you see them be a 1 seed, like I feel like everyone is just like, if you know basketball, watch March Madness, you're just like pumped up. Like you want to go play. You want to be out there yourself. Like you're fired up. Like it's awesome. There's nothing like it. Like people were telling me like I've never seen anything like this. Like this is crazy. Like that doesn't happen in any other sports.
Right.
Never.
And the only thing that can compete with it in terms of people who never watched the sport get involved is the Super Bowl. And when you go to a Super Bowl party, a lot of times you're not even watching the game. You're like, where's Rihanna? Oh, there's a flash trail. Like, whatever. There are people in my life that do not watch a frame of college basketball. And listen, I don't watch a lot of it, but I know I play that. I know how it works. I get it. There are people in my life that have no idea that Coach K retired. Who even is Coach K?
Right.
All this stuff. And they're like, time to fill out my bracket. And we're texting back and forth. It's the greatest thing of all time. It's the most wonderful time of the year. The sun's out. The birds are chirping. Cinderella finds her slipper. Princeton, 2 wins. There's nothing better. There is literally nothing better. Oof.
I agree. It's awesome. I love it.
Reese
and I love
Hoskins
how
turned it off. That's not good for Phillies
fans. And I know it's the best part.
What's that?
It's like a month long for like a weekend, like 4-day weekend, Thursday to Sunday. Like it's not like it's once a week like football. Like you have Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like back-to-back weekends. Like it's
today's Thursday. There's games today.
Tonight. Can't wait. Yeah.
You need to move to LA. Go to UCLA.
Going to the chip.
So I got UCLA in my championship, winning it all. You got Texas.
Horns down though.
A massive emotional play by you to hedge your bets by taking Texas, because if Penn State loses to them, they're still going to be in the championship, and you'll be okay with it. Do you regret making that decision?
100%.
100%. You hate Texas, and you're rooting for them to lose. I told you that was going to happen, but it's okay. So I got UCLA. You got Texas. We're still in the mix. Comment below who your champ is. Are you already out? Did you pick Duke? Did you pick
Purdue?
Did you pick Purdue? Yikers. Your day was over fast. Your month was over fast.
Was that day 1 or day 2?
I think that was day 2, but...
Okay, so you should probably day and a half.
Right, so you got to watch the first day and think, my 1 seed's going to... That's a lock, and then we'll just go to the next. Whoopsie daisy.
See ya.
What else? Jalen Ramsey traded to the Dolphins. Who could possibly care about that? No huge free agent signings. I think you got anything else?
Thielen went to the Panthers.
Oh yeah, that's fun. So CJ Stroud to Adam Thielen, touchdown Panthers to bring the gap to 21.
Talking about, do you think he was serious when he said, "I believe the Panthers are Super Bowl contenders"?
No, I mean, do I believe him when he says that? No, but does he believe it? Maybe. I mean, listen.
Yeah, I feel like he has to, but
who are we to say? They won 7 games last year. Look at what the Bengals did. You know what I mean? The Bengals went from 4 wins into a Super Bowl, literally.
Yeah, but they don't have
a quarterback.
They don't have a Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. They don't.
We'll see what CJ Stroud does. We'll see.
True.
Do they even have a quarterback? Do they have a quarterback on the roster?
They just signed someone. Forget.
Exactly.
I'll look it up right now, quick.
Oh, Case Keenum signed with the Texans, maybe.
Again, I feel like he leaves, goes back, leaves.
Backup quarterback. It's got to be the best position in all of sports to be. Just racking up millions of dollars to do nothing and be the cool guy. Hit me with the Panthers active.
This is Andy Dalton.
Okay.
Is that true? Is
he'll make
he's the only one on the roster?
Yeah, probably. Darnold went to the 49ers.
Look, 3 hours ago, Panthers may have let number 1 pick slip up. CJ Stroud. CBS Sports.
There you go. Breaking news. Not so breaking, though, because we just broke it before that did. Yeah, CJ Stroud. Wow. First overall pick. You know what's crazy? If the Texans decide not to go Bryce Young for whatever reason, then it starts to get weird.
So what would they go? Defense?
I don't know.
Let's see who their quarterback is.
Will Anderson? They don't have one. They have Davis Mills.
Remember last year we did our quarterback rankings? I might do the same thing this year. Texans 32 ?
No, remember what I talked about that we're going to do? Don't say.
Yeah, I know.
We'll do that. That should be fun.
Yeah, Davis Mills still.
Maybe they go like Will Anderson, who's like the consensus best player in the draft, and then they go like
Case
Hendon
Keenum,
Hooker
yeah.
with the 33rd pick or whatever they have.
Is he gonna? He's come off 20 ACL. Is he gonna drop that far though? He
Yeah,
might.
he won't go in the first round because there's nobody back there who needs one, unless the Patriots get weird or something.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Right. Okay. I think I'm done for the day. I need to get some food. Thinking Chick-fil-A. What are your thoughts on that?
Fire.
A little
Good choice.
pregame before UCLA Gonzaga today.
9:45. Ooh, big game.
No Jalen Suggs to close his eyes and hit a. I almost just said some really bad words. Okay, listen, gang. It's been fun. We'll see you next week. We won't miss anything else because the draft is coming up. Maybe next week we'll do our quarterback rankings depending on news. And that should be fun because we're going to do a new format. It's going to be absolute insanity, chaos. Because
I'm going to make it like that.
Relax. And listen, thank you so much. Like I said, have a little respect. Just hit the subscribe button. It's really not that difficult. Drop a like, drop some comments. I want to hear the Final Fours. Thoughts on Jimmy G, Lamar Jackson. Thoughts on us. And you know what's coming up soon that we need to get ready for?
Next week. I actually got my fantasy baseball draft tonight.
You're psychotic for even doing one of those.
It's offline too. So.
Yeah, you want to be like Billy Bean?
Don't worry, I will be because it's an auction draft. Shoot for the low price guys.
Let's go, Bucks. Moneyball 2 when they make the playoffs and win a championship. Moneyball 2.
All right. Yeah.
All right, we're done. Bye.